Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks so much for joining again. And welcome to Stretch and Rest. My name is Kristen, and the first part of this class is active stretching. So we're going to be engaging muscles to create some flexibility. And then in the second portion of class, we'll be in the more restorative portion of class. So we'll be doing the opposite of that, practicing disengaging muscles, right? That can be way more difficult than engaging muscles. It's the body's job to protect and react, right? So we practice this restorative to try to just balance it out, give the body some options and how we choose to react. And sometimes class is very easy to relax into, right? And then sometimes class can be more difficult. So whatever your experience today is, especially in your restorative portion of class, just keep in mind that that's just how it is today, right? You could have a totally different experience next time, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, right? So much of our practice we do today has to do with what happened yesterday, or maybe what we know is coming up this weekend. All right. So without any other delay, I will start in a comfortable seat, and I'm seated up on a bolster. That's comfortable for me because that lets my hips relax and that lets my knees relax, right? So if you are seated on the floor or somewhere else and you notice your knees are up in the air, you're rounded into your lower back, and it's kind of just mostly uncomfortable for you, that's an indication that you definitely need some support underneath you to help let everything in front of you relax. Okay, so your support could be under the knees, underneath the ankles, and this could be with blankets, blocks, different size bolsters, pillows you might just have around the house, right? So you can get creative with this on your own. All right, so from your seated position, sit a little bit forward in your pelvis and think of engaging your pelvic floor up, belly button in towards your spine, and then lift your ribs up away from your hips. From here, take a moment to lift your shoulders up and roll them back. Just lift them up and roll them back. And just notice how your shoulders are feeling as you're moving them. Okay, let them settle. Come back to that core engagement from the lower torso all the way up to lifting the chest. Pull the line of your jaw back just a little. And keep lifting up the chest and pulling your shoulders down. Take a deep breath in and let your eyes close. At the top of your inhale, open up your mouth, loud ha sound, like you're letting some stress out. Inhale through your nose. And again, open mouth, exhale. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Last open mouth exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. This time through your nose, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale, 4. Pause. Through your nose, exhale, 4. Pause. Inhale, 4. Pause. Exhale, 4. Pause. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to sit up a little bit taller. And exhale, relaxing your shoulders. Just continue to breathe this way on your own, just for a few moments. Deep breath in. Slowest breath out. If it's a part of your practice, palms together, center of your chest, Anjali Mudra. Otherwise, just keep your arms down. Taking a moment here, you may like to create an intention for your practice. This could be a mantra, prayer. This can just be a moment of silence. And take a deep breath in. And your slowest breath out. And take a moment to release your hands down, opening up your eyes, but try to keep a soft gaze. It's a comfortable, gentle class. So we'll just take those shoulders up and back again, rolling the shoulders up and back, up and back. And then roll your shoulders up and forwards. Take those shoulders up and back a couple more times, and then let them settle, focusing again on pulling in and up from the core, lifting up the chest and drawing the shoulders down. Check in with your chin too. So speaking of your chin, draw it in, and then bring your chin down towards your chest. Nothing about the torso changes, hopefully. So come back to re-engaging from the pelvic floor up, lifting up the chest, pulling your chin down, a stretch for in between your shoulder blades. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And when you're ready, take your right ear over to your right shoulder, right ear, right shoulder, and see what happens on the left side. If you feel pain, if you feel like it's too much pulling back out of the stretch, if it feels okay to move your neck around, just go slow, lifting up your chin, looking down at the floor. There's arm variations you could add to this if you like a half bind at your lower back. So wherever you are, keep the shoulders down, deep breath in, slow breath out. Bring your chin back down, pause there for a moment, check in with your spine and sit up tall. And then take your left ear to your left shoulder. And so, where there's going to be more tightness in the body, it's more obvious, first of all, but also the body tries to compensate for it and how it's reacting. It wants to protect, right? So you might notice on sides that are tight, especially let's talk about the neck and shoulder region. Your shoulder starts to lift up. And the longer you're in this shape, you might notice that begins to happen to protect. So just try to communicate with it. Maybe even put your hand there and go, it's okay. You can slow down. You can relax. So if it feels okay to move your neck, go for it. If your body says don't move your neck, that is the best thing you can do is to listen. All right, then bring your chin back down, pause there, lift up your chest, and then lift up your head. So we'll move into our side stretches today. If you're used to taking my class, this will be unusual. So I'm usually teaching with one block on each side. Today I'm going to teach with a pillow on one side and a block on the other. Honestly, it's not ideal, but I don't know where the matching block went. I cannot find it. So I'm improvising. I'm sure you've had to do that before in your life somewhere too. So if you wanted to use, 2 pillows, that would be fine. That would be a little bit more uniform, but again, you have to consider your objects, right? This is a very flat pillow. This one's not so flat. So I'm going to go with the puffy pillow and the block. Try to have it balanced the best you can for what's going on in your body. So we're going to start with the right hand down. When you have the right hand down, I'm just going to go over these hand situations, and it's going to be the same for most of our different postures where there are hands involved. What's different might be what's available, but I'm just going to go through it now instead of throughout every posture in the future. So you could pop up to your fingertips, right? This creates some stability for the wrist. You can create a fist, and that's also going to give you a more stabilized approach if there is pressure down weakness with your hand flat, or it's just not comfortable. You could also use a block if you really had to. You could hold on to it, or you could press into a weight, like a circular, like lift arm, regular like barbell. So you could use something like that. But if you're going to use something that you're gripping onto that could roll from side to side, just be very careful of stabilizing the wrist so that when you do put weight down on this side, your wrist doesn't go forwards or backwards, and then you have an injury, right? So stabilize first. Don't do it if you can't get yourself stabilized. So with the right hand down, try to keep your torso upright, core is engaged. Inhale, reach your left arm up and over, and go slow. If you need to keep the arm closer to the body, hand and heart center, no problem. If you can reach the arm up and over while keeping the shoulder down, that's great. Then you just focus on pulling the shoulder back. We're lifting up from the left side of the body and reaching over to the right. So keep the left hip down. It might want to lift. The left knee might be lifting. Try to soften those places down. From the core, engage. Use your inhale to reach up. And with your exhale, ground from the right hand, reach from the left and take it over. Deep breath in. You're welcome to move your neck around. Slow breath out. All right, slowly bring your left hand down. For some of us, that can be a lot of blood to move around. So take a moment, let it settle, and then find what's working best for you on the left side. With your inhale, right arm reaches up and over. Notice if your whole body went with you, and bring it back. So we're stabilizing the torso upwards, and we're stretching from the right side over. Trying not to move any part of the center of our body, the left side, and the right side is going to lift and reach over a little bit, but we don't want the rest of the body to go with us. So we're grounding from the left side, left shoulder's in its socket. Inhale to find some space up, and exhale to take it over. And when you're ready, bring your right hand down. Let it settle. Shake it out if you need to. We're going to move with our breath, but hopefully your breath is going to be slow. And you're welcome to stay on each side for more than one breath if that benefits you. From the right hand, inhale, left arm reaches up and over. Exhale, left hand grounds. Inhale, up and over on the other side. Exhale to ground at your own pace. Inhales create space, right? We're expanding, we're reaching up. And on our exhales, we're compressing downwards, we're grounding. So just move with your breath and see how that helps you as you move. One more time each side. Come back to your center. All right, so take your hands behind you. Palms are going to face forward, and you're going to slide them down behind you. If you're on a bolster similar to me, you'll just place your hands at the back of the bolster, put a little resistance there to force your chest up a bit and squeeze your elbows in, right? It's just offering some resistance. You can get the same effect with blocks behind you, holding on to them. You may even be able to be seated on the floor and touch the floor behind you and not need anything. But the point is to try to get some resistance going to add to the stretch. So elbows squeeze in. We pull in from the pelvic floor, belly button to the spine. Lift up your chest. Pull your chin in. With your inhale, lift up your chin, but keep it in place. Don't lead with your chin. And with your exhale, chin to your chest. Hold it here for a moment. Feel that stretch. Keep lifting up the chest, elbows in. And then walk your hands forward into a fold. I always take a block with me because I'm already lifted up, so I know that's going to help me. So hands could just be extended out in front of you, and you know your options for your wrist, right? You could also begin to lower down to the forearms and get off your wrist altogether, palms facing upwards. If this is where you go, your shoulders draw back. You press your chest forward and your hips back. You don't want your hips, you don't want your butt to leave what you're seated on. So if you're tilted a little too far forward, you're going to lose that grip. You got to bring the hips back, press the belly button down, lift up from the chest and pull the shoulders back. And there's so many ways you can be in this forward fold here. So do what feels best for you ultimately. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Okay, lower your head down slowly. Notice how the stretch moves. And walk your hands back to your body, sitting up tall. So we'll move into our twist. I always say before our twisting that it's not great for everyone all the time. We have a tendency to injure our hips and our lower backs and our knees and all those big joints, right? So sometimes we need to twist less. Sometimes we need to twist more. Sometimes we just need to be more mindful of how we're doing things all together, okay? So just assess what's going on with you today. Once you get through the first round of twists, see how it works for you, and you take it from there. You know your body better than anyone. So we'll start with the left hand behind us, again, along the bolster. So I'm going to use that for resistance behind me. Right hand over to the left leg, shoulders down, lifting up your chest. Take a big breath in. And with your exhale, draw your left shoulder back. Let the left shoulder be your leader into your twist. That way you're not twisting so much from the torso and then the rest of your body goes with you. So we want to think of pulling the left shoulder back to lead us into the twist. Shoulders down, lifting up the chest. And then maybe you begin to move your neck in the same direction as your left shoulder. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. The pelvic floor in and up. Belly button to your spine. Slowly unwind back to your center. You might need to move around a little bit on that first one. I normally do. When you're ready, to the other side, right hand behind you, left hand, right leg. Up from the core, feel that engagement. Deep breath in. Exhale and draw the right shoulder back. Both shoulders down. Lift up from the chest, right? When you lift your chest, did your left knee try to lift? Mine did. So I'm going to bring it back down. I'm just going to tell it to chill out. And then slowly work into the twist. So what happens when you can't just tell your body to chill out, right? It doesn't listen. You just get support going. So I could place something underneath the knee here, and now it's not going to be able to lift, right? So deep breath in, slow breath out. Core is engaged. Come back to your center, wiggle it out. Accommodate for whatever you need, whatever's going on. Could be new. That's new for me. No big deal. Left hand behind you, right hand to the left leg. Inhale, lift up your chest. Exhale and twist. Inhale to your center. Exhale and twist to the other side. Remember, lead with your shoulders, then your neck follows, and you don't have to move your neck ever. You can always just keep your head forward and pull the left shoulder back, right? Or the right shoulder, whatever side you're on. So moving at your own pace, inhales create space, right? And exhales move you into that space. One more time, each side. And then back at your center. So roll your shoulders back, take your hands behind you on your bolster or whatever. Again, just working into that chest lift where we squeeze the elbows in. Sit forward in your pelvis. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Make sure your core is engaged and your chin is in, almost like you're trying to create a double chin. And then slowly begin to look up, stretching the front of your throat without slamming into the back of your neck. And then chin to your chest. Elbows keep squeezing in, pelvic floor squeezes up. And we'll take our second fold over our legs. And by the way, if you need to change your legs at any time, go for it. We will move out of this shape in just a moment and get into our leg stretches. So for this forward fold today, let your head be heavy. It felt comfortable, and you could have your forearms on a block, or maybe if you're flexible enough, you're on the ground and you don't have anything under you, but then still add a block under your forearms, and it'll add to a stretch underneath the arms. So what I mean is you lower the head down, and then as it's available to you, you can try bending at your elbows, right? See how that changes the stretch for you. You can maybe bring your palms together behind the back of your head. That's going to take my butt off the bolster, so I'm not going to do that, but you could try it. So wherever you are, deep breath in, slow breath out, and then slowly walk your hands back to your body, lifting up your head. And if you're on a bolster like me, you might want to lower down to the floor now. Alternately, you may start to need the bolster for what's coming up next. Just depends on where your tightness is and how your supports help you in these shapes. So we'll start with a separate leg stretch. We'll take the left leg out first today. So left leg out, feel free to just shake it around if you need to. Scoot back just a little more. And then slowly take the right knee out to the right. For some of us, this might be as much range of motion as we have, and that's no problem. You want to get things involved to help support you, especially those knees, right? And ankles, or anywhere maybe you've had a reconstructive surgery, extra support's going to be needed. And then over time, maybe you start to get more flexible. You can practice and you do this on your own time. You can slowly begin to bring the right heel in a little bit more. You may always need some support underneath your knee, but over time, you might be able to get this thigh to foot connection. So look at your left foot, toes are up, you're flexing, hopefully. Wiggle your toes around. Sometimes I have to crack my toes. And then just take a moment to point and flex. Point and flex. Just get a little movement going from the front of the leg to the back of the leg. And you can move your leg around in circles. Whatever you do in one direction, do the other direction. And if you go to flex your foot and your toes just hang out to the left, take your hands to your thighs, right? Either side of the thigh. Roll a little bit to your right, pick up that thigh and create this manipulation of an internal rotation of your thigh. And that should help your foot settle a little more upwards. So hands to either side of your left foot. Twist your torso to your left just enough so that your chest lines up with the toes. With your inhale, lift up your heart. Exhale and hinge forward. So hinging forward does not mean take yourself out of alignment to reach your toes. It means hinge forward. And when you lose that alignment and you start to round, your knee starts to bend and you start to get crunchy. That's when you back up and you add some support so that you can gain flexibility in the chain reaction of the body, right? In sequence of the body, not skipping certain parts of the body, right? We don't always want to bypass. We can always get into shapes differently, but we don't want to bypass the body's chain reaction. So you can get things underneath your hands to help you hinge forward. Maybe it's hard to reach the floor. Maybe you got to have something under this left knee because it's just not going to straighten. Maybe you need a strap underneath your left foot to help you lift up and your elbows are in and you're going to pull from there for a while. And then over time you open up and you need less support and then less support. But tight hamstrings and lower backs are just like the number 1 and 2 most common things. So you might feel just very congested in this area and it doesn't feel good. So it's okay. You breathe, you support, and you practice. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Lower your head down, shoulders back, and slowly roll up. We'll take it to the other side. Right leg extends, left leg in. Internal rotation of the right thigh. Flex and point your right toes, create little circles. And even if you are like a flexible person, you can be in this shape and it doesn't feel like it's hurting you. It also doesn't hurt you to just give yourself support. It can add flexibility. It can change the shape if you're used to just feeling the same way all the time in some of these shapes. Okay, so flex your foot, sit forward in your pelvis, hands to either side of the right leg. Twist your torso a bit to aim it towards your toes. Inhale, lift up your chest. Try not to change the shape of your spine, just hinge forward. Shoulders stay back, elbows in. Maybe the forearms touch down to the floor, or maybe you have some pillows underneath or some blocks, some extra bolsters. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And lower your head down, shoulders back. Slowly make your way up. All right, so we'll take both legs out, flexing the feet, rock a little bit left and right. If we need support under the ankles, under the knees, under your butt, whatever you need, okay? Just know that it's always available to you, even if I'm not saying this is what you should do. All right, so we're gonna move into a forward fold. It will be active. This is our last active shape before we move to restorative. So if you wanna have more stuff out in front of you to support you, fine. I'm just gonna use this one pillow. So take your hands down to whatever your support is. Flex your feet. Inhale, lift up your chest. And with your exhale, hinge forward, take those elbows in. For a lot of us, it's natural to have the elbows out, especially if we've done other types of fitness. So try to keep the elbows in, kind of knitted in towards your ribs, and then hinge forward. I have a tendency to rest my elbows right on the top of my thighs, and that's just a little area for me that works. All right, so you could certainly have your forehead down, supported on something. You can have the palms up. You can have your forearms out in front of you. Just keep those elbows in and the shoulders back. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Lower your head down. Engage your pelvic floor. Belly button to your spine. And slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. Head comes up last. All right, so let's move into our supported back bend. Supported back bend. If we need elevation in our upper body today, maybe we have some allergies or something. I don't know if you can see the leaves are changing where I live. So lots of allergies on the way for me. Yay. It's all right. So you can put something underneath your bolster to give you that elevation. This can also be useful if we have some compression issues in the lower back. This can be helpful in getting pressure off of the lungs if we just want to be able to breathe a little bit easier. Pressure off of the cervical spine as well. So lots of benefits for just adding that little bit of elevation. Nothing that you have to do, right? It may not benefit you particularly. So lower back to the bolster. Legs out in front of you. And then recline. So you want to recline in a way that you are supported. If you get into the shape, especially if you're not using the incline and you're more flat, you're going to notice more of a curve in the lower back area. So if that is painful for you, you put a pillow or a small towel or something under that curve of your spine or underneath your seat, and it's going to help that shape be more comfortable for you. So you could have something underneath your knees. You know, second bolster, maybe you have a foam roller. That's like a perfect shape for underneath the knees. Or you could just use pillows. I'm going to use pillows. And if your arms don't touch the floor, put something underneath them so they do. The more support you have, the more support it's going to be throughout the rest of your body. So even for me, even though my hands are touching the floor here, if I had another set of pillows, I do, but I don't want to get up and get them. But if I did have them here, it would give me even more support, which would then soften the biceps more, soften the front of the shoulders more, which is going to soften cervical area of your spine even more. So chain reaction, right? You could be in a hip opener here. You don't have to have any supports at all, but adding support is going to give you that passive, supported, restorative stretch. All right, so now we're going to scan the body and see where we can stop engaging muscles, right? Check in with your thighs, your glutes, your core muscle, the muscles in the face, like in between the eyes, the eyebrows, the area in between the jaw, upper and lower jaw, the muscles in your neck. See if you can find some awareness, kind of travel through those parts of your body and see if you can get them to become less engaged, less reactive, and heavier. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Keep scanning your body. Continue to see where you can be heavier. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. You're always welcome to stay in these shapes longer. Before you move, just little gentle wiggles through the fingers. Let your arms go across your body and just take a moment to close your shoulders. If you ended up in a hip opener, bring your knees in towards each other. Let your hips close. You could also bring your big toes in towards each other and just point them a little bit if you're not sure. And then slowly release your hands and come up to your seat. Just go as slow as you can, as gentle as you can. We're going to move right into a supported forward fold. So if you have support underneath your knees here, you might just like to keep it where it is. And then add support on top of the legs and build on top from there until that your forehead is supported. Blocks can be very useful here. I have pillows, an extra pillow today, so I'm going to use that. And I have the pillow underneath my knees. So you could substitute pillow for a lot of different other types of support. Same as bolster. If you put too much weight down on your knees, they might feel sore later today. So if you're wary of that, if you have some old injury, please be wary of that. And just put something underneath your knees to protect them from hyperextending. Your arms could be, if you had a bolster, your arms could be up on a bolster. This is kind of ideal because it lets the shoulders relax when you bring your forehead down. But that might not be the situation that you have, right? So your hands could be on the floor. You might want to put something underneath your hands to let the shoulders soften a little more, right? Just think of that chain reaction. How can I support myself to gain more relaxation and flexibility? Okay. There we go. So scanning the body. Soft through the shoulders. Not holding on to anything, just fingers are soft, toes are soft. Rounding the spine is welcome here. Slow breaths in and out. If you've been looking one way, you may want to move your neck in the other direction for a few breaths. And when you're ready, slowly bring your head to center, keep your chin in. And then lift up your head. So just bringing your head back to that center line before lifting up. Okay, so we're going to lower down to our backs. And we'll set up for a twist. So I'm going to just take the bolster to the right, set up a pillow for my head. You might like to have a towel rolled up underneath your shoulder blades, bottom of your shoulder blades, if you wanted to add like a little tiny back bend or a little tiny chest opener into the shape. There's a lot of ways you can amplify. That's one of them. Okay, so lower back over your things, over your stuff. And then pull your right knee in. Just give it a tiny little squeeze into the hip socket. Send your right leg long, bring your left leg in, same thing, give it a little squeeze. And then bring your left foot down to the floor, slide your hips over. Sliding your hips over aligns your spine so that when you twist, it's a little bit healthier in your spine. So knee and ankle supported. If that is not available to you, try the center line. So about midline between the ankle and the shin, or the ankle and the knee. And that's so that over time, you're not favoring support on one side because the joint pressure will bounce from one side to the other. So from here, if you have a knee that's kind of just still up in the air or an ankle doing the same thing, then you just pop a little something underneath it, like a towel, or again, just little pillows to help support. Dish towels can be really helpful too. Alternately, if the tightness is coming from the hip, excuse me, you can use a weighted blanket, or if you have like little fitness weighted sandbags, just right here on the hip joint, can be really just enough weight that it helps create flexibility down the hamstring for you over time. So weighted blankets are awesome across the torso here, awesome across the shoulders for the same reason. A lot of times we just have these things at home, so I mentioned them. So in case one day you want to bring them into your restorative practice, feel free to, especially now that it's getting colder, so blankets are sounding good. So arms can be in whatever shape you want. You can look whatever direction you want. Keep both shoulders supported and down. If you have a shoulder off the ground, you need to put something underneath it. And then check in with your right glute, your right thigh, your right foot. All of those parts on the right side especially may be engaging and trying to support you. So let them know they can let it go. And then go back to scanning your body. Slow breaths in and out. Letting go of any muscular action you can find. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Slowly take your time to unwind. Bring your left hip right and right foot up. So left hip and right hip need to slide back into place. Take your support over to the other side. Mindful of the things that you have around you. It's easy to forget when we're just trying to calm down for 45 minutes, right? I often knock things over. So from here, we're going to pull the left knee in and send the right leg long. Just give it a little squeeze. Don't do anything with the feet, just a little squeeze into your hip. Left leg down, bring the right leg up, same or similar kind of squeeze. Place your right foot down to the floor, slide your hips over to the right, and take your twist. So from here, adjust for whatever you need. Think of your knee to your ankle. Think of your shoulders and letting them get supported however you can best do that for yourself. And then anywhere else in the body that's asking for some help, see what you can do for your body there. And then you find stillness and come back to just seeing where you can get the body to stop reacting. For me, because we're twisting the right side, that's going to be really focusing on the left glute, the left hamstring, the left thigh. They always want to just continue to re-engage in my body. So maybe you can find out some places in your body that just love to re-engage and protect. That's why we practice. Probably go over about 4 minutes. If you have to go early, I totally understand. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And slowly roll back to your center. Slide your hips back into place. Take your bolster. Maybe you can easily slide it up underneath your knees. And we'll set it for our supported Shavasana that way. So that is just one option. If you have another way that you'd rather do that instead. Do the thing that's best for you always. And then close your eyes. Take a moment to just settle back into your stillness. And I'll let you know when it's time to come up to our seats in just a couple moments, not too long today. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Spend as much time here as you need. When you're ready to move towards your seat, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe offer up a stretch if you can. And then make your way up to your seat. And so sitting up tall, close your eyes, take your hands to your knees. Lift up your chest, take a deep breath in. Then a slow breath out. If it's a part of your practice, palms together at the center of your chest, thanking your mind and your body for what it's capable of today, and giving yourself a compliment for taking this time for yourself. As always, thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.